we open in the diner with Honey Bunny and Pumpkin, Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer.
Is she in Single White Female, Kev? Where do I know Amanda Plummer? I'm sorry, I've been trying to figure it out.
See, I've been resistant to playing Lacey's game of where do I know this person from?
He just wants me to Google it.
I'm like, you have a phone.
I know her from some other movies too. Her face is very familiar, but
I'm like, I know her from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, that's what I came to. That's the
She's
conclusion
so
I came to earlier.
haunting. She's not right. Okay.
So I married an axe murderer. That's where you know her from.
That's where you know her from. There you go.
You little freaking.
Trevor gonna hunt that info down for you. He ain't gonna let us just sit.
Did he just Google?
oh, for sure.
Okay. He's fast.
So they're talking about their plan. Why don't we rob restaurants? Yes, that's a great idea. And you see that, like, right away, one thing I think this movie is working with is sort of artifice, or just the versions of ourselves that we present to the world versus who we really are.
Yeah.
You can see it right away because Amanda Plummer's like, well, I don't really want to kill somebody. And you're like, these people are really nice, but they're going to pretend to be really, really scary killers. And then they come into contact with the real thing.
And she gotta go pee.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's so, I just imagine seeing this movie in 1994. You've seen all the marketing. You see Uma Thurman's on the poster, and you open up here and you're like, what is this movie?
Right. Uma looks bad. Right.
I'll execute every last motherfucking one of you, she screams. Of course, at the end of the movie, she says, I'll execute every last one of you motherfuckers.
Told you.
It's
It's
take.
like, did they change I'll try to talk now. Sorry. Did Samuel L. Jackson's epiphany like change reality a little bit? I'm just saying, maybe there's lore here. It's fine.
No, I mean, I think it's like this is a postmodern movie. It's calling attention to its sort of the fakeness of the world that it has.
Okay.
And by literally using a different take later in the movie, it's kind of just calling attention to that. I noticed like there are a bunch of really sweet romantic relationships in this movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
More than you'd think. And I think it actually recurs throughout Tarantino's filmography. I think in Jackie Brown, Pam Grier and Robert Forster are so sweet together. It's like I forget about that part of him. He is kind of a romantic
It's
guy.
why it works. He shows you so much grit and the things people do to make money and the choices people have to make under horrible circumstances. If you didn't balance it with that heart, I don't think it's as palatable.
Yeah. The only thing that sucks is when I watched this movie twice in 2 days.
We're not talking about suck.
The only thing that sucks about that experience is I'm like, man, I'm going to have to wait 2.5 hours to get back to my favorite character in the movie, which is the restaurant manager who comes out and he's like, okay, there, we're not going to put you up any trouble. The customers are going to be real good for you there. Go Da Bears.
You're an idiot.
So I can't put a pin in that. We'll revisit the manager later.
Shall we? Look at the wig. That's a great wig.
Oh,
Royale with cheese.
the Royal.
This taught me the metric system.
And I love that, like, I think that it's not actually called a Royale with cheese. Damn it! There's so many things like that where you're like, that sounds so true. It's not. It's totally made up. Even like giving somebody an adrenaline shot in the heart. That's not actually what you should do.
That's dangerous. That's not true. I would have done it to you as soon as you drop dead, Matt. I have one in the freezer.
Just waiting
Just in
for
case.
it. Is it just
I want to go through that breastplate.
in case of emergencies.
That needle was this long. You know how tiny Uma is? That thing would have pinned her to the fucking carpet.
It's true, yeah. She's like, she's trying to get up, but she can't.
Say something. Get off the floor.
You got carpet in me.
Yeah, right.
Lacey was saying she thinks that Travolta's character, that Vincent, he is like kind of putting on an act, or he's like, it's kind of like a simulated personality. He's got this voice. And I think that's like, I think everybody in the movie is kind of doing that. Even Samuel L. Jackson.
This is
he's
their
like,
hard
I'm
look.
adopting my very scary persona.
You have to look at and the industry they're in. I mean,
But like with Reservoir Dogs, like Tarantino's ideas, like if we see these scary hardened criminals and then hear what they talk about while they're on their way to do their crimes,
Madonna.
you'd find they're just like us. They have very eloquent conversations about foot massages and royales with cheese.
Yeah.
It's that they're everyday conversations that make them so good. It's that they're shooting the shit right before they go into the apartment to kill several people. That's chilling about it and humanizing. It's like at the end of the day, we're all just doing a job.
Yeah, it is just a job. Yeah, they go up to the door and they're like, we're like 3 minutes in.
Yeah,
We wanna be
early.
rude.
Let's go stand
Back.
On.
I was like,
Lacey's
Let him
spot
eat
on.
his
Like Vince and
burger.
Jules are getting humanized through dialogue. Like they're talking about
the whole
drug
time.
laws in Amsterdam. They're talking about what quarter pounders are called in Paris. They're talking about the overall degree of sexual intimacy when it comes to a foot massage. Like they're talking about all these different things. Which, by the way, how do y'all feel about that foot massage deal? Like, should somebody get thrown off the balcony or not?
I think if I had to touch somebody's feet, I would hope that happens to you.
He would like kill me now.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I'm with Matt 100%. If I got to touch them, I'm throwing myself off. But
I'm
Yeah.
not rubbing feet unless I love the person, and if that doesn't have to be sexual, but I've got to love the person.
Look.
I'm not just rubbing feet.
look,
It's an act of love.
my mama don't even get that kind of love from me, so and I love her to death.
We never find out if it's true though. Like it's a rumor based on what Mia says, and like I'm like I like how it's
I believe her that she didn't get a foot massage.
That we're believing what Mia wants to believe about herself. She decided to marry a man like Marcellus Wallace. So there's always some.
Yeah.
They're already. It'd be interesting to find out her backstory, right? She's not totally innocent. She's getting along and getting around in the world that she finds herself in,
Yeah.
and I think that she is immediately a
Yes,
flirt
yes.
with in the most charming
Yes.
fucking way.
Yeah.
But there didn't have to have any chemistry. It didn't have to be a good date. She pushed that. It was her in the
Exactly.
affect. It was in the way, Daddy
Thank you.
Yo, and
Yes.
don't be a square. We're gonna dance, motherfucker. You know, I mean,
Yes.
She knew what she was doing.
Which means she definitely set that other man up. She set him up.
that
That's
man
what-
definitely
that's exactly
rubbed
what-
some
yep,
feet.
Thank you.
I always took her at her word, but yeah, you guys are all making a compelling
Tarantino
case.
needs it to be true.
Well, that's, I mean,
Okay.
there's less feet stuff in this. There's less foot stuff in this movie than I remembered.
But there's foot talk.
There's foot talk.
Oh, I bet there is a foot talk,
Yeah.
Kevin. Let's look into that.
Foot
Film
talk. Where you at? But you see like these sort of verbal motifs that'll recur throughout the movie where like they're talking about a foot massage. Is that a sexual act? It's like, no, it's not in the same ballpark. It's not even the same sport. Like just debating whether something is this or it's that. And it's like another thing, they're talking about Tony Rocky Horror and they're like, he's fat. I wouldn't say he's fat, but he has a weight problem. Like everything is like, you're just using a synonym, the exact same word to describe it.
All about
And I
lenses.
think that's also, I mean, when you think about it, it's reflective of all the characters that we're seeing, right? Because the whole time through this film, every character in there is, you can say they're not good people. Nobody like the only one I think you can kind of write off as a good person is Fabienne, to be honest. Like Fabienne, and then maybe Butch, but when you first meet him, he's taking money to do a dive, like
Right.
so. I mean, I think it kind of mirrors what it's kind of priming us as we're watching the movie to make our decisions about all the characters that we see, which I think also makes it even more important when you get to the last scene of the movie, and it's Jules telling everybody, truthfully, I'm the evil of man, but I'm trying real fucking hard to be the shepherd.
I love that part.
And that's a good point because yeah, you are looking at these people who you'd say like these are bad people, they're doing bad things, but they're all like suffering moral dilemmas within the worlds that they live in. Because like John Travolta says, like I can't have sex with Mia Wallace. This is a moral moral dilemma I'm in here. And it's like, well, you kill people, so like, but it's like that feels like a more real moral dilemma to him.
Yeah.
Butch kills a man in the ring and then says, I don't feel bad about it at all.
Yeah.
But then he can't turn away from Marcellus, even though he literally goes from trying to kill him to then now I know what he's going through. I won't be able to live with myself
That
if
is
I let it
because-
happen to him.
That is because Butch thinks of the man in the ring as someone in his war. For Butch, that is his war. He was the one person in the generations of the watch that didn't get to fight for that watch.
Yeah.
And that is
Oh,
why
shit.
he wakes up from that dream and decides to not throw the fight.
Yeah.
That is why.
Oh shit! I hadn't even connected that.
Stick around, Isaiah.
Jeez.
It gets real crazy in here. No,
No, yeah, you have to go find your fight.
Your fight.
Because that's what a man is. A man fights.
He's on the battle. He's on opposing sides until he gets thrown in POW camp. That is that dungeon. And then all of a sudden he's on the same side as, right. That's
Yeah.
why it's all very art of war and all that stuff.
So they go into the apartment and they're eating big Kahuna cheeseburgers.
I wish it were real.
And it's like, I mean, it's just one of the great scenes in movie history.
You a tasty beverage?
Just him just enunciating of the tasty burger, and it's terrifying and hilarious.
So terrifying. And you don't know what Vincent is doing until you see him smoke the cigarette and you're like, what has he been fiddling with? Is he building a bomb? What is he? Why doesn't he talk?
And you realize, like, they've done this so many times. Vincent is so bored with Jules's his speech, and he's like, Vincent doesn't need to say, it's like, we don't need to say anything. We can just go in and kill them. You're literally just doing this to entertain yourself.
You gotta do something.
Well, everybody has to make their job entertaining.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why doctors wear fun scrubs.
Hey,
You just opening a heart.
Or that's, when you work at TGI Fridays, you gotta wear some flair.
You go there for the flair, Matt. You sign up for that job, you better be into flair.
I agree.
Don't get me started.
I agree.
I don't want to hear complaints about the flair.
The briefcase, it has the 666 lock. It has the glowing orange. I think
love
this
the
is just like
MacGuffin.
a tribute to like just classic mystery stories. Like, we're all after something. What is that thing? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It glows.
It glows orange. It's gold. It's a portal to another dimension. It doesn't matter.
And it somehow means just as much to every single person that sees it.
yeah, that's what's fun about it.
Yeah.
Is even Tim Roth knows what it is.
So I wonder if I just like this with the 666 being the lock. I just always thought it's the root of all the evil, all the problems.
Oh, you fucking smart.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
it's the root, like, it's the root
Yes.
plot point to everyone's issues, so to speak.
It's the ring.
Yeah.
It's what makes them evil. Right.
Lacey, have you heard the big fan theory though on what it is? What's a briefcase?
Give it to
So
me.
basically,
Give it to me,
the
Kevin.
briefcase, people are saying that, well, the whole story, it was supposed to be diamonds in the first place. Tarantino originally wanted it to be diamonds, but he thought it was too basic, so he decided to just leave it a mystery. And so he ended up putting that orange
He was right.
light bulb in there, and that's when it glows when we see it. But now people are saying that the briefcase holds Marcellus's soul, and that he sold his soul to the devil in exchange for the position of being the highest ranking mob boss. And the evidence to support that theory is supposed to be the scar on the back of his head with the Band-Aid on the back of his head. It's supposed to be
I was trying to track the
Yeah,
scar the
where his
whole
soul-
time. The beast,
it's
the
supposed
mark
to
of
be
the
where his
beast.
soul was taken out. And to support that theory, in Chinese culture, they say that the soul is removed from the back of the head. So that, on top of the combination lock of 666, they're saying that that's his soul in there. He sold his soul.
I love this.
And this is actually all in the Pixar universe.
Yeah,
Shut
man.
up.
That's
I love this,
That's where I'm with,
except for
man.
that it undercuts that there's that a person like him could have rose to the top. So I don't like that because I think he shows his cunning every step of the way. I think he seems exactly like the kind of person that could rise to the top. He makes tough decisions. I don't
Yeah.
buy it.
Fan
Exactly.
theories.
Yeah,
Puh,
like,
I say.
all right. Yeah.
Non-canonical.
So he reads his passage, his Bible passage, Ezekiel 25:17. I always thought that this was a made up passage, but it seems pretty connected to a real passage. Like, it's a little differently worded, but it is basically
You
a real
gotta buy
passage.
the
That's
Trump
one of my
Bible,
first
Matt.
memorized Bible
Duh.
verses right there. Strictly for that scene. I was like, oh man, I gotta
Lacey, you on it. You on it.
Thank you, Jim.
I always thought it was like Royale with cheese. Like, yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah.
Never bother to look it up.
I'm glad you told me about the shot. When our kid turns 15, starts getting all crazy on drugs, I could have pinned him to the carpet.
Now we're gonna have to take a class or something. Yeah.
Shit.
You gotta take a real class. Can't just go with that.
Quentin,
So yeah, this is just one of the great movie scenes. I don't know. It's gonna be boring me saying like, and this is also great. This is also great.
let's get some. Just go on.
Well, shout
doing
out to
great,
Phil
Matt.
Lamar in
Doing
this
great.
scene.
They go to
Yes,
the bar.
I was gonna say the same thing, Trevor.
Yeah.
Literally was on my head when that slide
Guy
came.
who plays
Ooh.
Marvin. Yeah, great
Yeah.
voice actor.
Yes.
Yes, Phil Lamar's great. He's one of the great voice actors. Hermes on Futurama,
Bam from Metal Gear Solid.
Mad TV.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, don't forget his Mad TV days. He used to crack me up.
This actor, who I forgot his name, was originally up for the role of Jules,
Oh,
and as a consolation prize, he got to play the bartender.
He says he's the right hand man to Marcellus, but you can't tell that. But
can't tell.
that's quite the consolation prize. You cannot tell.
So, Lacey, tell us about this sequence.
How dare you? Okay. Shit. I don't know. Oh, well, we don't know why they're in these clothes. It's the first time we meet Butch. I hate when you make me tell you stuff.
I know this is our first episode we've ever done.
Shut up. This is when we find. This is the cool perspective stuff of just the over the shoulder, just watching someone react. Learning that this fighter we just met is going to throw a fight. He does not seem any too pleased about it. Marcellus is an amazing talker into her, and we can already see like what the kind of repercussions this would really mean to, I mean, it's nothing to Marcellus, but it is to Butch, and we see it right away. Literally the first person he encounters is just some fucking schmo with the longest haired wig ever, and he's calling him Punchy and calling him, and he's like,
Palooka.
Right, he's like, he knows in that moment, this is what my life's going to be. This is fucked up. Like, and even if this man does not mean these things about me with these weird words he's saying, I'm taking it that way. So I think he knows he's not going to throw it pretty much.
Again, just imagine seeing this movie for the first time and like, you're like, wait a minute, now we're on Bruce Willis. What's his deal? Yeah. And then John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson come in, but they're dressed differently. It's just got to be so disorienting.
Yeah. In the best way.
Yes. We only live in the world where we know Pulp Fiction, but one time they didn't know.
Well, and I also love in this same scene, specifically when you're talking about Butch being there and Vincent there, the call, so Marcellus calls out to Vincent when he walks in, and he's like, or scratch that, back up. When he hands the money over, he's asking Butch, he's like, hey, you my dude or not? Like, to which he's like, well, I guess I am, right? Then when Vincent goes and disrespects Butch, he calls to Vincent as if, yo, you my right hand. But I think, like, after watching it today, I love that, like, at the end of the movie, the one who winds up being who saves his ass is Butch. He really is. I guess I am your dude. I'm the one who like helps you out.
Yeah.
But did you notice? Did you notice though that Marcellus Wallace is on the stakeout at Butch's apartment with Vince? That he goes to get donuts because he's bored. And I always thought it was weird that he runs into him. But because of the hubris of Butch, thinking he just got away with some shit, got his fucking watch, shot a man, he passes in front of his apartment for no reason. He was already 2 rows back. That was the smart move. But he decides, no, I'm above the law. Because he's in front of his own apartment, and because Marcellus had the hubris to go take a little break on his stakeout, he isn't there for when Butch comes into the apartment. And then they meet in the street. And it's just, it's paths not taken and paths taken. And I'm just like, yes, this finally makes sense.
He just happened to go in at the right moment when John Travolta was taking a shit and then decided, I'm going to stay and make Pop-Tarts, which he didn't have to do.
And that's why Marcellus did not need donuts. There was Pop-Tarts. Hubris.
That is a poor substitute for donuts.
Shut up. He's on a stakeout. You want them or not?
You got to,
Last time I looked
get yourself
at this
a little
movie,
treat.
I noticed, I was like, every time John Travolta goes to take a shit, something bad happens.
Yes. Every time Uma goes and takes a shit, the food comes.
That's very true.
So, just saying. I know. This is the first time, Kevin. Also, I noticed. I was like, does a character in any other movie take a shit 3 times for 3 different? Has that ever happened before?
Maybe Friday. Tarantino did that for a reason. Like
Friday.
I heard he did that for a reason, as far as like since he was a heroin user. He was like, he was trying to, so.
And it goes to him not being completely in it the way that Samuel L. Jackson's character is. Like he didn't witness the miracle because he's not witnessing his life in general. He's just kind of floating through it, and he's not all in. He was 3 years in Amsterdam because he's not all in, and he comes back and he just keeps finding reasons to leave the room. Mm-hmm. So his checking out usually fucks him over.
Yeah, the thing that sort of awakens something in him is seeing Mia Wallace be so in the moment and just doing exactly what she wants to be doing, even if it looks silly or if it's goofy.
Right, which goes to his really put on persona. It's like, okay,
that pierces
you can just be silly.
Speaking of heroin, he needs to go get some from Eric Stoltz.
I love that. I love this whole. It's so realistic.
It's a lot of fun.
This is every drug dealer I've ever bought things from. This is him.
And we get the his wife, Jamie. What is her name?
No, Judy. Fucking Jody.
Jody, yes. Rosanna Arquette.
I love an Arquette.
Yeah.
And Vincent now listen, I've never shot up heroin, everybody. I was not under the impression it was something you could do and then go like be social and drive a car.
That shows you how much heroin is done.
It's-
I couldn't. I've only ever snorted it, and I couldn't do anything but throw up.
Okay.
It's horrible.
So you were kind of like Mia Wallace.
I was just like Mia Wallace. Yeah, I threw up out of my nose and got pinned to the carpet.
But I mean, tell us about Mia Wallace, Lacey.
Mia strikes me as someone that's probably a little bored. She seems like the dog that caught the car. I think she wanted to marry the boss man, and now she's married to him. And I bet there's not a whole lot to do except for getting people thrown out of windows. So it is odd that she wants to go on a date with somebody that's not her husband, but she is intoxicating. She's magnetic. She is all facade. She's like 3 layers of bullshit on top of a person. She's a failed actress, which should already tell you a lot. This woman has a broken past and you can feel it, but she's charming as shit. And addicted to coke, and meets another ne'er-do-well and sees somebody that might understand her and isn't too cool to like think she's real cool too. And she does the twist like a motherfucker.
I've always wondered why. I mean, it's so like old fashioned. Like, hey, I'm going out of town. My associate will take care of my wife while I'm out of town. But it just occurred to me. I mean, she probably instigated this. She probably asked for.
Or he wants his most trusted person because he doesn't want another throwing one of my good men out of the window because she instigated a foot. You know, he probably wants the person he thinks will do the best job.
Why does she need to be taken out on a date at all?
But I'm saying if she has to choose her date, it would be worse. I'm saying that Marcellus picked her date thinking it's the safest choice.
Because I read this quote I read from Tarantino talking about like it's the oldest story in the book. The guy has to take his boss's wife out for dinner. It's like that's the oldest story in the book. Okay,
that is.
But they go to Jackrabbit Slim's, which I think Tarantino probably became a director just so that he could make a restaurant like this exist.
I want to go to there.
Yeah.
I want it so bad.
With Steve Buscemi as the Buddy Holly waiter, and he's like, just
That's Buscemi?
Whoa,
Yeah.
okay.
Buscemi?
Buscemi?
Yeah.
I've
They're so
never
random.
clocked him.
I didn't
and
notice
I've
that.
never seen any. How do you disguise a Steve Buscemi?
Yeah,
that's
'cause
a
that
fucking
dude-
feat.
It took me
That's
so
the
many
miracle.
times seeing this movie to realize that was him. Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
That is crazy.
That's Cap, yeah.
Okay, well,
He doesn't make that much of an impression. But I like how bored he is. He's like, what about you, Peggy Sue? Just, he's got these lines he has to say as part of the job. And she wants a shake. Do you want it Martin and Lewis or Amos and Andy? Yeah, Mia is great, but I would never in a million years want to have a meal with her. She seems like a nightmare. Just like calling out, hey, you don't seem to have anything interesting to say, do you? Why don't you think of something while I go to the bathroom?
I'd have
Jesus
left
Christ.
I'd have left her right there. This time ago.
Yeah.
oh, I don't have the keys to this car, Mia. I guess I can't get in to your table. I gotta go.
But you know what's interesting about this is like
She seems like a
the
lot.
dialogue in here once again. Like the dialogue in this movie is setting up the unexpected. Like for example, like when you watch this for the first time, you're thinking that, okay, Marcellus threw somebody off the balcony, did something with her, whatever. But like you're thinking something bad is going to happen, or either Vince is going to overstep his boundaries with her, right? Like with her flirting or whatever.
Mhm.
But like things end up turning left. Like as we talk about the next scene, like it's crazy. But that's dialogue though. Like the dialogue is crazy.
Yeah, they talk
They
about
have chemistry. I mean, it's
they have this connection that isn't based on that is like kind of just based on vibes. Just like the energy you're putting out, I'm getting it. I'm receiving it. It's not like anything they say is that profound. Just like, isn't it nice if you could have go out to eat with somebody and you don't feel pressure to talk? Like it's nothing that incredible, but they feel connected, and then they have the dance, and
they're just deep enough for each other. And she's just surprising enough to pique him. He's so goddamn bored with life. I mean, he's checked out. He's got to take a poop. And for all the emphasis they put on, and I love this dance sequence, I do, but it's bad. Like she's not a good dancer. She's got the longest. She's like fucking Edward Scissorfingers with her.
Yeah.
And he is a dynamite dancer. He does that weird little like tippy toe thing, and I'm like, show me more of that. And then you don't see him the rest of the dance, and I'm like, What is this?
Well, it's because he's
You're
not
wasting your dance.
The character is not supposed to be a great dancer. Like
But he
Travolta is a great dancer, but these are just supposed to be normal people and
Oh,
have
shut up. Then why have him dance really, really amazing for 15 seconds and
because
then
it's
just
fun.
show?
It's
You know what's crazy,
exhilarating.
man? I thought that he was like maybe influenced by Saturday Night Fever.
That's what I
But
thought.
it turns out he had already
Yeah.
like, had this in mind that there was going to be a dance sequence, which is crazy. And
I thought they just gave
Yeah.
Travolta a dance thing because
Yeah, I was
Travolta
like-
dances.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
too.
but,
'Cause I'm
the-
like, it's Travolta, Saturday Night Fever,
Yeah.
but he's like, no, like I had this in mind. Like whoever was going to be in here
Grease.
was going to be dancing regardless. And I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, and they're doing 50s and 60s dances. They're doing the Batusi. They're not
I'm
doing-
sorry, the bat. You mean the Watusi?
No, but it's Batman because you do it like Batman did.
Oh, shut your. Don't let me correct you and then it not be for real.
Look it up.
I won't.
So then they discuss, the Tony Rocky Horror Story. They do the dance. This dance sequence is much shorter than I remember. I always remember it going on for a long time. I remember me being a teenager and being impatient, like, get it on, go
I
on.
thought the same thing. I
You
was like,
know,
cut this
dancing
off.
ass.
I was like, this is not Grease. I don't need that.
They go back to her house and they are very much having a like, oh, great, we're going to have sex, aren't we? It's inevitable. There's nothing we can do. And then he goes into the bathroom and he talks about to himself, like, this is a moral issue. And then we have like a instance of divine intervention or crazy luck or just crazy coincidence. She's wearing his jacket, finds his pouch of heroin
Pouch.
and snorts it.
Jesus, man.
And it's luck and contingency. And then what do you do? How do you react in the moment? So he takes her over to Eric Stoltz's house.
Look, that's stupid, but I never thought of that being like a lucky thing. But you're right. Otherwise, he would have gotten thrown off a balcony.
No, it is good luck.
Yeah.
He would have had sex with her. He would have ruined his life, probably her life. This is a good thing that happened.
And look at her. She's no good at sex. All those legs.
I was thinking the same thing.
Just shoot her in the heart. She's too tall.
Just
She's like a
flail.
daddy long legs.
So tell me why this scene is like darkly funny too. Like it's
It's the
brilliant.
best because he's looking for his little book. Yeah.
Because
They're fighting.
Eric Stoltz and Rosanna Arquette are shouting at each other, and it's like this is exactly how Lacey and I would respond in and like we'd be like, "Don't talk to me like that. Go get the medical bag." I am getting the medical bag.
If you were more organized.
Yeah, it'd just be the most useless shit while we just let someone die because we're yelling at each other.
That's what I'm saying. The brilliance of mixing the mundane with the profound. This is life. That is what it is.
And he's doing it with Vincent too. He's like, "Get the shot. I will get the shot if you let me."
And then there's like an argument over. He says magic marker, which is the old fart way of saying marker.
Yeah.
That's what my dad called a marker.
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
can
yeah.
tell Rosanna Arquette's like,
Huh?
fucking magic
What's
marker.
magic
Call it a
about it?
Sharpie, bitch. Yeah, it's like there's no time.
Well, and her
Give me a marker.
her attitude is part of what makes it so funny because she's just like, this is so interesting, and also she has the piercing fetish. This is the ultimate pierce, so she's like gets really
Oh.
intrigued by it all of a sudden.
Whoa.
I didn't think of
Cool.
that.
I didn't
Like,
even
what?
think about that. Yeah.
Never.
Just the way, Eric Stoltz is like, you just.
Yeah.
You fuck with the thing.
What do I
And
do
he's like, I
next?
do it 3 times. I do it 3 times.
He's like, no, just.
It's just little observational shit like that. Like people.
Man.
And he's like, what happens
y'all
next?
ever notice-
Well, actually, I was curious about that myself. That's my favorite line in the scene. He's like, I was curious about that myself. What does happen next?
I love the way that scene looks.
Vincent
Jeez.
legit runs into this house. Oh, it's the coloring, everything.
Well, part of it is a
robes.
handheld one take as you like from the time. He crashes his car. It's just the camera frenetically moving without cutting, following them in, following Eric Stoltz into the bedroom, and then going back to check in on Uma Thurman, and then going back. It's like so chaotic and frantic. But it all works out very well.
Everybody's facing in desperation. Well, anticipation and Vince's desperation in that scene. The way it's edited and the way it looks.
The different levels of stake, like Vincent has the highest stake. Look at his face. Then Stoltz has the medium, and then the wife could give a fuck, and the friend's like, "Oh, where's the Funyuns?" It's just like,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the various layers of how serious is this to me,
and they're layered in the ranking of who cares.
well, and to Uma Thurman, who's going to die, John Travolta, who's like, I'm going to go to prison. Yeah. Wikipedia says the correct way to treat a heroin overdose is with naloxone. So everybody just remember that.
But what do you shove it up the butt? What do you do with what?
It comes in. You can be an intravenous injection,
nose.
or these days a nasal spray.
The nasal. Yeah, they have it at Walgreens. It costs $100.
Anyway, it all works out. He drops her off. She tells him the joke, and he gives her a very sweet kiss goodbye.
But it very, very interestingly, it happens on that path, the path to their front door, right? The path that looks so majestic when Vincent is first going up there to meet her for the first time, and then such a different walk down the same path after all. It's so familiar in such a fucked up way. Paths, man.
And after all of this, like, he saved himself from getting killed by Marcellus, but he's just going to get killed anyway.
And he never does drugs again.
By Butch. So the watch.
This is the best Christopher Walken, because it's just walking enough. He's walking a fine line. You know what I'm saying?
I think this was Tarantino was like the beginning of people realizing, you know, who's interesting is that Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
We'll just put him on screen and let him say weird shit.
Give him a strange hairline.
And he just lets him go. And it's like, I wanted to just transcribe the whole thing.
That tiki bar.
Give it a watch. Give it a watch. And how serious and sincere it is until he says, carried it, the only place that wouldn't look for in his ass.
Yeah. I was like,
and so you're like, oh, it's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
But like Lacey says, Butch jerks awake from this memory, and it's like he is in a lineage of hard men who had to go off and fight their wars, but he doesn't have a war to fight in. It's the 90s. It's the end of history. He has to go and fight in the ring.
And it's like this suspended, Arrested Development, right? Like the watch, he even keeps it on a fucking kangaroo. There's still that little boy Butch.
Yes.
He's frozen in time.
Well, he is presenting himself like to the cabbie. She's like, you killed the man in the ring. He's like, how do I feel about it? I don't feel a damn thing.
Esmeralda Villabolosa. La Belaveva.
Yeah, he's like, I don't feel bad at all that I killed a man. And he's like putting on a shell about how badass a man he is.
That side penis though, huh?
Oh yes.
When he's in the bathroom.
We'll talk about it.
Get some side shaft. Okay.
Vincent goes to see Marcellus. At this point, Jules isn't with him because he has left the life at this point.
What's happening? What?
We just see, Butch did not take the dive like he said he would.
Yeah,
Instead, he won the fight, and Marcellus is fucking pissed. I think this might be the first time we actually see Ving Rhames' face in the movie.
Yeah.
And just, Ving Rhames, what a treasure.
Fucking treasure.
What presence he has.
Every line delivery, I'm like, what's he gonna say?
So Bruce Willis, Butch, goes back to his hotel room with his French girlfriend, Fabienne. And they too have a very sweet.
So sweet.
And just like tender relationship.
Don't say tender.
Okay.
Sorry.
They have it's nice. They're nice to each other.
Niceys. Mm-hmm.
And she says, I wish I had a pot. And then they debate the difference between a tummy and a pot belly.
Stop.
It's all about these little distinctions, you see. But Lacey, I wanted to ask you, is this true about a pot belly? Are pot bellies sexy on women?
You know who has a pot belly and then nothing else out of place? Emaciated children who have not eaten in third world countries. There's no fucking such thing. She's probably seen a pregnant model and thought, oh, that's an option. That's an accessory. Pot. She's an idiot. She's an adorable, sexy idiot.
So,
fucking moron.
The more I hear people review this movie, the more they say that Fabienne, her story, they don't like, and they feel like it slows down the pacing. And I disagree, right? I disagree 100%. Like I love her in this, and I feel like it really shows their relationship and shows like what he's fighting for, especially like knowing she's pregnant.
She's the
legacy he's fighting for.
See, I'm on the opposite end, and I don't think she has a story and not enough going on. So when we first saw this slide, I thought you named it I Wish I Had a Plot. So I was chuckling to myself, like, oh, that's great.
She's the cat. You have to give the burly mean man the cat so that you know he's actually a nice sweetie. And because she's so polar different from him, it lets us know in a short period of time there's way more to Butch than we're seeing. We don't have time to tell you. But if this is what he's drawn to, then there's something in there worth saving. We have to root for him. And so if not him, her.
She has, and I'm never one to say like everybody has to serve a purpose in a movie. I don't believe that at all. Like I think there's texture, there's things that are just in there to enrich the experience of watching the movie. But I think that is exactly what you said. She is there for us to understand who he really is.
And we need this respite. We need him so relieved. He just got away with this shit. He had a great plan. He had everything lined up. You're in an obscure hotel room at the end. That even being on the end of the hotel room wasn't on purpose. And she fucks it up. Like, we have to see how much he got away with it for us to also be like, no, fat bottom, you stupid bitch. God damn it.
But and that he has to throw it all potentially away because he just needs to get the watch.
It's like, just get over the fucking watch.
Instead of giving him.
Right. You have value. You don't need the watch to show you your value. He can't get over his...
Men will go get murdered for their watches rather than go to therapy.
Yeah, because like the watch, I think it represents like good luck in this movie. Especially like knowing what Christopher Walken said about it, like, you know, your father survived with this during World War I or whatever. And just knowing that he like went back and was able to catch Vince in that situation, getting the watch, was lucky. And then even
it might literally be good luck.
Like him and Marcellus,
it was created by a leprechaun.
Marcellus, like that's good luck they got out of that, right? So yeah, I just think it's good luck.
Yeah, he did have it on him.
She says, "Will you give me oral pleasure?"
Shut up, Matt.
She asks.
God, Jesus.
But,
it's going to be in my nightmares.
He was going to anyway. That's my only point.
No, he wasn't. He asked her to kiss it. What grown-ass man that wants his penis sucked says, will you kiss it?
Yeah, he has a little bit of growing to do.
Boy.
He needs to go to therapy.
Will you give it a hug and go Hong Kong?
Yeah, he has his kangaroo. I love how she admits that she forgot the watch because she's like,
so human.
Yes, she's like, no, I'm so sure. Okay. You are? I am.
We're never going to get through this movie.
No, I'm not.
Move on.
Now, my defense, Lacey, 10 years ago, that's how I learned, that's how I should ask for a blowjob. Okay.
You know what? This is a safe place, Trevor. And
I feel it.
That's however you got to get one. You know, I've never had a penis, so it's probably real hard to ask someone to put a whole thing in their mouth. Just interested.
I'm glad you acknowledged that. I'm glad you acknowledged that it's harder out here. So maybe ask me.
It did. Y'all shit is just hanging all out, and you got to convince somebody to take it all in, and that sounds like a real.
Yeah, he thought he had the right phrase. Will you kiss it?
Don't act like you're part of this conversation.
No, sorry.
All right. So this is we've kind of been talking about this scene a bunch because it's such a you do not think Butch is going to get away with this, but he walks all careful and gets in but then once you're in an apartment, there's no back door to your apartment. You still got to go in the front way. So
I know.
Your creative little entry point was
he just went through somebody's backyard, but still went to the front of the apartment.
How else?
Because there's nothing else to do.
It's an apartment. So, and it just everything that needed to happen. He's not even being quiet. There's a giant freaking Uzi on your, I don't know gun names, on your sink, and you see the Pop-Tart first. So, and he nothing but luck. And then he could have just kept going, and instead needs to feel real cool about himself in that Honda and goes in front of his apartment complex to catch Marcellus Wallace with the most delicious donuts that no one has ever
It is really a tragedy that he doesn't get to eat this delicious box of donuts. But I do
what the heart. Right, that's my donut.
I do want to point one thing about his apartment, and I love that he shoots. Well, so Vincent comes out of the bathroom. They look at each other.
I can smell the shit.
Well, they just, the way he looks, like he knows it's over. He's fucked. But he still kind of has that like detached. I'm not really here.
He's on a lot of heroin. Yeah.
And Butch shoots him, and then smoke from the gun causes the smoke alarm to go off. I feel like this is something you never see in movies.
No, never.
It's just the little after effects.
Okay, it's just odd. I've never bought it. I thought it was the toaster.
No, it's because there's a ton of gun coming. There's a ton of smoke coming from the gun, and I don't know. I feel like lots of places we've lived, we've had smoke detectors that go off every time we cook something.
Yeah,
so
they go off for less.
They probably would.
They go off for a lot less. Yeah,
very realistic.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
just a nice little observational detail.
Is it?
No, it's not actually.
Move on. Right.
So yeah, Lacey pointed out he's literally there because he was probably on the stakeout with
because it's so personal. This is the big you got to think Marcellus has his hands in a million things. He's so small potatoes that this one fight throwing was like a really big deal to him. You know, he's got tons of money, but maybe you don't have to do that many crimes to make lots and lots of money. That you can't really tell the scale. His people he seems to have a smaller crowd than what he gives off. But he is larger than life. And into the people he employs, he is the biggest thing ever.
Yeah, no, I think that is kind of the crime of this world. Is it's still kind of low rent. It's kind of like on The Sopranos, like Tony Soprano, the king of this mob world. He lives in a neighborhood where his next door neighbor is a dentist. Right. It's like this. Okay, yes, like you're like you did all this to live a middle class life.
It's all still a day job. I feel like nothing like joining TikTok let me know there is no free lunch. Like, I don't know why I thought I was entertaining. I'm going to get on TikTok. Everyone's going to discover me. It's like, it is more work than my actual fucking job. So it's okay. You know, it's all, it just, you're going to pick a 9 to 5. Some of it's going to be legal. Some of it's not. Anyway, so how lucky for him to have this opportunity to run him over with the car and then immediately squander it by getting T-boned. And Quentin Tarantino's love of like late 80s, early 90s random fucking Comedy Central comedians. So, you know, you've got fucking Kathy Griffith, just random person who discovers the wreck. And then you've got What's Her Nose, who is the car compactor daughter. She's also a comedian from like that same era. Anyway, super interesting. I know. Whatever. There's a car wreck. No one gets away with anything.
It's just bad luck. Just he runs him over, then gets hit by a car, and then they get chased down and end up in
Oh my God. It's another good luck through bad luck situation. You don't think of me as ODing as being good luck, but it is. It is the best thing that could have happened to both of them. Then you don't think of this as being good luck to Butch, but Butch gets to be completely not looking over his shoulder the rest of his life. You have to go through the hard road to get to the actual redemption. Yeah. I'm so smart. Okay.
Yes, but he's cleared his name with Marcellus.
But let's talk about the butt stuff first.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
The way that they stumble into this pawn shop and the way that whoever this guy is who plays Maynard, the pawn shop guy,
it's perfect.
This seems initially when you cut to him like this is just the funny reaction shot of the movie because he's just like listening to music. As like the action of the movie stumbles in. But it's funny. It's like they're in their own movie that stumbles into a totally different movie, which is this pawn shop that is basically a portal to hell. Yes. Like you have no idea how dark it is about to get. And he almost seems like he's an extra. And then he's like, I'm not a fucking extra. I'm about to take over everything. In fact, I'm going to call in more evil people than me to go take over everything.
That's such a good point. It's like you only know the evil you're around, and you think you're enemies until you realize there's a whole depraved section you didn't even know existed, and you're actually have way more in common with you who you thought was your enemy than you ever. We all just have things in common.
Watching that scene again recently, like Matt, you nailed it on the head with just like the levels of just how deep this thing just starts to get bad. Because I'm watching and I'm noticing the big Confederate flag at the front door, and I'm immediately and of course he goes, "Get your foot off the nigger there," and I'm like, "Oh shoot!" Like so it's racist. But then all of a sudden the cop shows up, and I'm like, "Okay, so now it's racist."
And he's got mascara on.
And he says, "Well, go get the gimp," and I'm like, "Wait, what? Like,
what's a gimp?"
I know.
I learned what a gimp is.
Yeah, it's like he pulls the gun on them and you're like, great, he's gonna rob me or something, or I don't know, wait for the cops to arrive. Like, no, you have no idea how bad this is going to get.
I will never sexually use a ball gag because of this movie. I just want you guys to know that. And
it's true.
I have such a fear of not being able to breathe through my nose because I broke my nose when I was younger. So I know both of those men have a broken nose right now and they're ball gagged.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, they're gonna die. And then I'm like, wait, they're gonna die anyway. But they're gonna die.
And I have TMJ and can't open my mouth that wide.
Oh, he'll get it open. Jed will get it open good. Yeah.
So this is when they bring out, so Zed comes in. Zed, who is he's not actually a cop. He's like a small security guy. He's like a security
I never noticed
forces.
that.
I didn't even notice that either. I definitely thought he was cop.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
and then like bring out the gimp. The gimp sleeps in a blocked chest. In my memory, the gimp always does something, but he doesn't actually do anything. He's just
he's a limp gimp.
You will remember the gimp actually doing the attacks.
No, because no. What you remember is that he damages your brain for the rest of your life. You go from knowing about no gimps to knowing that there are gimps. It's
now
a
I have to live in a
psychological
world where I know this.
And they sleep in a box. They can't stretch out their legs. They're in leather. What if they got a pee pee poo poo? And Maynard cares about the gimp's sleep schedule, but Zed do not.
This scene messed me up when I
happening?
first. I was like, what?
All for the glimpse, though. The glimpse that Marcellus and Butch give each other while they're gagged. And I'm like, my heart. Oh, let's marry these boys. I love it so. They're just like, what is this?
But yeah, it is that human connection, and Bruce Willis is able to escape and then hears Marcellus, and he's realized, like, I literally just tried to kill him. He wants to kill me, but I know I'm literally not going to be able to live the rest of my life if I leave right now, knowing that I left him here. And
that those two men still are alive.
Right. That's the other thing is like they take out these super predators.
Yeah.
You saw the blood all over the downstairs, guys. You noticed just the hand streaks, and I never really paid attention to that room before, but every room you're in down there's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, how many flies have gone trapped here?
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I didn't notice that. However, I always thought it was weird because they were like, when they're first taken down there, I think Maynard says to them, "Ain't nobody killing anybody in my shop unless it's me or Zed." And I was like,
yeah.
And I kept thinking to myself, like, when have they killed more people?
Is there a deep freeze?
Yeah.
Where are we putting them?
How do they determine who they're going to do this to? What if you just want to buy a guitar?
Yeah.
Do they fuck them until they're powder? What? Do they fuck them until they're mush? I don't understand. Also, how long you gotta fuck? He is pounding that man for so long.
Okay, I'm glad somebody else brought that up too, because I'm like, he goes upstairs and has a whole moral dilemma while you can hear all this, and then decides to go. Also goes through like the video game choosing of a weapon situation before going to help him, and I'm like, all you can hear in the background is
what we're saying is we're praising Zed's virility.
It doesn't make sense. They were so excited to have a spider. He would have blown it immediately. This is just insane.
But yeah, this is like Bruce Willis here is living. Try to say character names and not actor names. I'm doing a bad job. Butch is living. Jules is Bible verses. I'm literally in the realm of evil men right here. I have to go be the shepherd I have to be my brother's keeper. I have to go help lead this guy out of the realm of evil men. And he does with the sword. And he's like, you okay? What happens now? What happens now between you and me?
You okay? Like, I know, it was their first time having sex. It's so sweet.
Okay, yeah, I think I am a Butch and Marcellus shipper now.
Ship that shit. And look, they're almost the same height as each other. Oh, that's so cute.
And so he goes back to Fabienne, and I love that he's being so aggro and confusing. She just starts crying, which is the natural response.
Yes, you're being real mean.
And you have a giant motorcycle. What the fuck is happening? Also, this all happens in less than 2 hours.
That's insane.
Which stresses me
You would have
out.
never made your flight. Stop it.
I know.
Not at all.
And she's like, I started to think dreadful thoughts, and he's so nice to her.
Come here, pudding pop, sugar pop.
But that's it. That's the end of that. That's the end of their story.
All right. Can you believe there's more movie?
More movie, yeah. This is 2.5 hours, right?
So, yes.
Did y'all know that fucking
Jerry Seinfeld
is in the scene? I'm kidding.
No, the guy does look like
he does.
I just referred to him as Jerry Seinfeld in my notes. But yeah, he runs out of the bathroom and starts shooting at them, and I just love Samuel L. Jackson's face, like as he's taking in the fact that he just unloaded and didn't hit them at all. But you can already see it in his face, like he is experiencing this differently than Vincent is. Like this, something really, really crazy and profound is happening.
And I love his point about it doesn't matter if it's true. It matters is that I felt.
Yes.
It made me want to stop being this person when I never thought to stop being this person before. And that really is all that. It's a moment of clarity. It really is how people stop doing drugs, how people get out of relationships, how people quit their jobs that they hate. It's just a moment where you know that you aren't the person you were that moment ago.
Yeah.
No, I like that because he points that out. Like,
yes,
whether this is divine intervention or not, it almost
said that.
doesn't
Let's
matter
just go to
because I'm going to act as if it is. And in so doing, he saves Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer's lives.
Right.
So like, even if he reverts back to being who he was, which I suspect is what he's going to do, he's going to forget about this revelation and he's not going to stop killing people.
I don't
He
agree.
saved these people. But I've been in the situation where somebody is reacting to something super big and they're like, don't you just think it's crazy? And I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. And they just want more out of me than I'm willing to give.
I need to take a shit.
And then, they're in the car. More bad luck as
Look at his
Vincent
face.
accidentally shoots Marvin in the
That's
face.
the most Travolta face. And I love that Vincent's such a child. Like, he seems like such a badass until he's with a real adult, like the wolf and like fucking Jules. And he's so petty. He just wants what he wants, and he wants his things, and tell me something nice. And, it's
don't
just like,
yell at me.
It's all a matter of framing. It just depends on who you put him with. He completely shape shifts, but he's that person all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
He accidentally shoots Marvin in the face. I realized this is the same thing that happens with Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It also happens with a cat in Boondock Saints.
Okay, well, there you go.
That's true.
There you go.
Lots of accidental shootings happening.
How do you guys feel about Tarantino inserting himself into his movies?
I'm not a fan of it personally.
I'm not either.
I'm like, just get somebody else to do that role, please.
He wanted to be an actor. That was the first thing he wanted to do was be an actor.
Well, I think he was trying to get somebody to. He wanted this scene. He wanted somebody else to do this scene, but nobody else would do it. So he's like, "Well, I'm gonna say it." Basically.
Oh, really?
Like,
Is it because of the dialogue?
Probably. He's like, "All right, well, I wrote it. I'm doing it." So
I remembered it being twice, not 6 times.
But even as I say, I think even in his performance, this guy too is putting on an act. Like when he says something like, he says the word "ain't," and he says it enunciates it in such a certain way that you're like, you two are just putting on this. I'm a badass. I'm hard. I'm harsh. Which is why I think he's saying what he's saying. Mm-hmm. But it is funny. I do like the way Jules is like trying to diffuse it with just his Samuel L. Jackson charm, praising his coffee and stuff, and it's just not working at all. And he's like, usually this works when I do my thing.
Because usually you're about to kill someone. You don't have the power here. He has the power here. There's a complete power shift where just a moment ago you guys had all the control in the car. And just like that.
But what's great about this is all of the tension is just he doesn't want his wife to get mad at him.
But the clock ticking down.
But the clock is just ticking to her coming home. That's all.
That sounds bad.
They're not going to go to prison. Nothing's going to happen to them. He just might get divorced.
You don't know that.
But I love that everybody buys in as a result. They call up Marcellus and he's like, "Oh, okay, she's going to come. Oh, and she's not going to react well to this at all. Okay, we got to take care of this." Marcellus, I'm calling the wolf.
Marcellus's question is even like, I mean, when she gets there, how bad do you really think it's going to be? Like, even when he first hears it, he's like, "This is ludicrous that y'all are doing this just because y'all worry about when she gets home." But
he's like trying to assess, like, how freaked out? Like, really freaked out? Or just a little bit?
Can we buy her a bedroom set?
Or he's getting yelled at. That's it.
But he's smart. He has to cut loose ends. And deep down, he doesn't want to kill this random woman and this random man. He wants to do right by Jules. So it's like, okay, these people are doing us a favor. If we can make this clean, let's make it clean.
So they call in the wolf. They call in Harvey Keitel.
Picture. Can we frame this and put it in the living room? I want a blanket of it.
You know when you all have to act like you like your boss? Yeah. It's probably my favorite thing in the movie is the wolf because I love his performance, and I've just realized Harvey Keitel is just one of my guys. I think because he is so and I just watched Reservoir Dogs, and he's so great in that, and he's so like tough but also so sweet to Tim Roth, who is dying. Mm-hmm. And that he's always been able to project both of those things at the same time. And
he looks just like my dad.
He kind of does, yes. And I love they're just building up this guy, the wolf. The guy wolf is going to come take care of it. And you see him writing down in his little notebook, and he's just writing down Bonnie, no head. And he gets there and he goes to work and he's totally running the room and everything and carrying himself with such swagger. And all he's actually doing is saying, oh, let's clean the car. Let's clean and then you guys change clothes. And they're like, he's a genius. It was incredible watching him work. But it's true, yes.
You just need someone with a plan who drives 2 times the right speed.
I've learned that in high stress situations, sometimes you just need somebody. Everybody calm down. And it's just the simple thing. You just need somebody to voice that.
Yep.
Somebody got to tell you to do the little shit.
I love fixers. I love cleaners. It's one of my favorite things to see in movies and TV.
John Wick, whenever there's a fucking the cleaning crew comes
which
out.
makes it so great that all he actually does is clean. He cleans with cleaning supplies. That's all he does here. And they're like, it was a master at work.
He knew about the blankets.
Before we get too far away from Jimmy's house, as Kevin will tell you, my biggest problem with this film is that scene, because I don't think it serves a purpose other than Tarantino getting his shits out.
Specifically with
the dialogue
with him?
Yes. Because it's because like what purpose does now it is a funny scene. It is a funny scene. I do admit that.
But even in the 90s, this bothered me. And they say G-O-O-K in the beginning. They say wetback. They say so many slurs in this movie, and none of them bother me. And none of them they do now, but they didn't then. And that one, it's just, and to show that he's got a black wife, it all just feels like he's trying to say he's got the inward pass. That the whole movie feels like look, I've propped up Samuel L. Jackson. He's going to be a star now. And look at Jackie Brown. And look at all of it. It's just like, and now I get to say the N-word.
Well, and because he wrote it. He wrote it for himself.
He didn't. And you're so right. It doesn't actually do anything to drive the plot. It has nothing to do with any of the character building. He's about to be completely out of the movie. He didn't even need to be in the movie. M. Night Shyamalan.
You can cut that scene directly to Jules on the phone with Marcellus, and it would still make sense. Like, we would understand that, we brought the body there. This guy's freaking out about it because he says his wife's coming home. And you can still sell the rest of that movie without that.
It's one of the scenes that I think everybody in retrospect has the most problem with if they say anything, because in Reservoir Dogs they drop the N-word a couple of times too, but it doesn't feel like this. Like,
it doesn't feel like this.
But it bothered me this time on Reservoir Dogs just because there are no black people in the movie at all. At least in this scene, you're like, at least Quentin Tarantino on set had to be saying this to Samuel L. Jackson. Like, there's some now, but he's of course Samuel L. Jackson's boss in this situation. So
there's that too.
Is he actually going to say, "Hey, I don't think you should say that"?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. The power
dynamic. That's where I kind of like, it is what it is. That's why it doesn't bother me like it does Trev. Like, it's egregious at the end of the day, but like, he's a scumbag. So he's got the.
That's I think what he would say is like, this character's not supposed to be likable. He's supposed to seem like a piece of shit, and that's my way of communicating it to you.
True.
There's other ways.
But we've had lots of experience with you now, Quentin Tarantino, going up to Django Unchained, where you seem to like
you seem to like
using this word.
I'll go ahead and clarify that I don't have a problem with anything from Django. And then actually for Jimmy's house, I don't think I would have a problem with it if it was only like, he said it once or twice. But
once
3 through 6, it's just like, no, this clearly looks like you were just excited to get this on film and do it yourself and say that you did. Everything else feels natural about the dialogue in this movie except for that.
I said
I'm
it
not
on
saying
TikTok.
there aren't people out there who
like
act like that, but still.
I said it on TikTok, like when I was talking about like ranking his series and talking about Pulp Fiction. I was like, Tarantino's definitely one of those people where like he's like wanted to say it since high school. It was like, all right, now I got the ability to finally say it, and I wrote it, and it's my movie, and like I got the character here. Like,
you can't tell me no.
It's gonna work. I'm gonna work it some kind of way. Yeah.
Have y'all heard about the story about Denzel Washington confronting Tarantino about this?
Crimson Tide?
No.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Okay,
go ahead.
Now, and correct me if, because it's been a while, but so Tarantino did punch up work for the script for Crimson Tide, so like all the Silver Surfer stuff.
The greatest movie ever made. Yes.
Thank you, Matt. I don't think Isaiah has seen Crimson Tide, if I recall correctly.
Oh,
I've never seen it.
just
Oh,
embrace
Crimson
your
Tide is
inner
excellent.
dad. Just watch it on a
Yes.
Saturday afternoon. Take a nap while you
I
watch
do want
it.
to see it. I just
It's
haven't.
excellent. I'll go ahead and invite myself back whenever y'all do watch that movie.
Okay, I've never seen it.
But so Tarantino's on set, as doing Punch Up and all that, and then I guess Denzel gets whiffed that Tarantino's there, so Denzel goes and lets him know he has a problem with his use of the N-word and all that. So
Spike Lee
I
let him
think
know,
they
too.
had to.
How did he
I think
handle
they had to be
it?
separated, but
Yeah,
I think it didn't
Spike
go
Lee
that far.
also.
No, go ahead.
Spike
That
Lee
was done.
also Spike Lee and he have also kind of like feuded in the media about it, and poor Samuel Jackson's caught in the
Yeah,
middle.
well, but
Yeah.
he needs to reckon with that. It's up to Tarantino to say there's never a time for this word. I've never gotten enough street cred or done enough things for me to have earned this word. I'm just putting it out into the world more than it needs to be.
The most recent thing I found him saying is like, "You don't have to see my movies if you don't want to
Oh,
hear it."
Tarantino, shut up.
But
what
I
I'm
do.
saying, yeah.
I
I'm going
bet.
to see every one of your
I
dicks.
don't expect him to actually use it in a movie again.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
Especially because I think he's
Tarantino,
trying
it's
to do.
complicated.
He wants to do a Star Wars movie or a Star Trek.
A Star Trek movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Matt, you need to watch
Yeah,
Kevin's
it'd
TikTok.
be
Kevin does
interesting if
go
you put
over
that in
all
there.
of this in one of his. He ranks all the movies.
You're talking about somebody who's a huge fan of blaxploitation films, and those films influence his work. When you look at Jackie Brown and him bringing
definitely do.
back Foxy Brown to make Jackie Brown, like
Yeah.
he clearly loves that culture of films. He likes certain actors,
and that's the
so it's
thing.
like it's a really complex situation with him. It's like you could
Yeah, because I don't think.
Oh, not at all.
No,
Yeah, it's not like I hate.
it goes in the direction of like you seem to like fetishize it in a way.
And that's what it is.
Yes.
He thinks he's part of a
Including-
club.
Well, including giving his character a black wife in this movie.
Well, and again, I think it's hiding. It's giving him cover. I think I'd be okay with it if just someone else said it. It's him.
It's that it's the boss
Yeah.
and that he wrote it for himself.
And who's going to tell him no
Yeah.
on the set of his own movie when Harvey Weinstein is his boss? Come on.
Oh, that's true.
Because you're right. Maybe if another
Yeah.
actor was here doing it, maybe I wouldn't feel that way about it.
And if other people told you no for this role because of this part, maybe you should have thought about
Yes.
that.
Yes.
I think it
And
puts
I
Samuel
also-
Jackson in a tough situation too.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yes.
because his success, huge
Yes.
success, is from Tarantino, and some of his best films,
Yeah.
when you rank them, are going to
For
be
sure.
Tarantino films.
Yep.
So it's like,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
Yep.
what do you do? Like, of course, he's going to say he's my boy, but it's not like, no, he's not a coon. Like, he's just like he's backing him. Like, these roles are huge, and they're great roles, and they're great movies. So
Yeah, and I
what
think
do you do?
he's like he's doing it from a place of love.
Fine. I just feel like
That's-
Tarantino is one of those people who, when he dies, there will be a documentary where everyone finally feels like they
Says
can
what they
say
wanna say.
because it is complicated.
Yeah.
He is complicated. There's not everything to love about him, but
Yeah.
he's a fucking genius, beautiful artist he makes some weird choices. But when he makes weird choices, usually they're really fucking cool. So you don't want to like put a cap on that because who knows what his next idea will be. But maybe less ideas about the N-word. Is all I'm saying.
I think that's the thing with all artists is like, yeah, you have to reckon with all of it, all of who they are. It doesn't mean that you throw out the work.
No, I agree with that.
And then while it was funny that his wife is black when she returns home, we see, but it's just all like, well, this doesn't make sense anymore because I would
Right.
think he wouldn't use that word if his wife was black. Like,
Yeah, at
Exactly.
the house. No, that makes sense.
So we should
makes
see
some
he
sense.
should write a legacy sequel about Jimmy and Bonnie, I think. I want to see where they are now, what their lives are like. Did they get divorced? I hope not. I think they have a nice thing going.
Okay. Let's talk about Chubby Bunny.
Okay. They're back at Hawthorne Diner.
Good.
A real restaurant in California. Jules explains he doesn't eat pork because it's a filthy animal, and Vincent's like, is a dog a filthy animal? He's like, well, I wouldn't go so far as to call it filthy, but it's dirty.
It's got personality. It goes a long way.
Again, this is just it's just words that kind of don't mean anything. It's all just the way we say them and the attitude we have when we say it.
How convincing are we in that moment?
And Jules is like, he's like really taking seriously this divine intervention thing. But I also think he's trying to troll Vince a little bit. Because he's like, if my answers frighten you, you should try asking different questions.
He's a deep guy, though. I would have so many beers with him. He just thinks in such an interesting way, and I think Vince is just a little too simple for him.
But then, the movie suddenly like, oh right, the beginning of the movie happens, and Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer jump up.
That's a diner song, right? It doesn't matter. All right, so now, okay,
Yeah, it is actually. You're right. Yes.
Thank you.
We finally get to my favorite character in the movie, the manager. No, sir, I am not a hero, sir. No, we will cooperate. Oh yeah, and I love Amanda Plummer. I love when Jules now turns it on them, holds the gun at Tim Roth. And she is trembling, and she doesn't know where to point the gun. She's terrified, but she's still determined.
Yes. They are very in love.
Yeah. Yes. There's another sweet couple.
It's pretty cool.
But I like kind of how gentle Jules is with her, even as he's shouting at her. He's like, "You're doing great, baby. This is almost over."
I love that. And I love that it really does end. And then they hug each other in relief and have so many wallets. That's so nice for them. But all I ever,
as they walk out,
I
with
know,
the bag of
but all I ever think about in these situations is we have a nonverbal, very verbal 8-year-old with autism. If we were told to be quiet in a restaurant, they'd just shoot us. I can never think.
There's nothing we can do.
Not everybody can be quiet, sir. All right, go on.
I guess we've already talked about the scene a lot.
It's the scene.
It's the scene. In the script, they wrote it so that we would see Jules shoot Honey Bunny and Pumpkin dead, and then cut to reality. Like you see his vision first. Like normally, I would be killing them, and then find out that he didn't kill him. Yeah,
It's not that kind of movie.
Samuel L. Jackson says he wished they had kept that in the movie. I don't know. I don't know if I like that or not.
No, because we don't have any like dream sequences except for Butch with the watch, but like. It would be playing with the reality of the movie, which we have not come to expect, that people are fantasizing and making us think something's real. That's like, oh, it was all a dream? Fuck you. I don't like that. So I say no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Me too. For those same reasons.
Thank you.
I think I agree. However, I do see a way that it would work for me. But you would have to sacrifice part of the monologue.
And the heart.
You would have to sacrifice the back part of the monologue where he starts to explain what it means for him. It can't be, you can't have him imagine shooting them and it looks to us as the audience as it's real. Like if it was me, I'd have them shot and you do it from first person too. It would be from first person. You would see Eli Roth's head explode, followed by Amanda's face, chest get blown in. Then I would turn it back around and it would start like it would kind of zoom out from the pupil of his eye, of Jules's eye, to see his face and his recollection. He would then just skip to the giving them the $1,000 and let them walk out.
And you mean Tim Roth?
That's the Tim Roth. Yeah, sorry.
I confuse them all the time.
Sorry,
Eli Roth.
Sorry, Eli Roth did not.
I'll let him know. My name is Lacey Roth, so I'll let him know. We all know each other.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point, Isaiah, because he walks you through it, and you don't need to see it because he walks you through what he's feeling in that moment. I'm trying very hard to give you a second chance, and maybe they give up the life of crime now. Who knows? That's another sequel we should get to see is what these two are up to. But I just love it so much.
And also, and I'd also like to know, like, thinking about how we've talked back and forth about the difference between the maturity level of Vince and Jules, knowing that Jules is about to get shot after this, like sometime after this incident, I wonder what Jules's reaction and feeling toward that is.
What does he see when he sees this?
Like, is this I knew that was coming? Like, he earned that after the discussions they've had throughout the day? You know what I'm saying? Is he any bit remorseful? Or is that what brings him, like, because Matt, you even alluded earlier, I think that he would probably come back to being possibly that he wouldn't, this epiphany would eventually fade from his mind and he'd be back to being a killer. But is that what does it for him? Are they close enough?
Yeah, I don't know.
that makes
he likes him. He likes him a lot. But yeah, epiphanies usually wear off. That's why I say that. Yeah.
The reality of walking the earth will hit you.
Yes. I even think he's kidding about that. I don't think he means that part.
I think he just means he doesn't have a plan, but that he doesn't want it to be this anymore. And that is so, when you're constantly convincing yourself that it's okay to do what it is that you do for a living, for someone like Vincent, this would be the most fuck you. Fuck you for saying that this is bad and that I shouldn't do it anymore. I'm not ready to not do it anymore. Do you know how big of a heroin habit I have? I'm not going to go be a CVS clerk, asshole. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, his options are a little more
skill set.
limited.
I don't see a kindergarten cop movie coming from this, or Vincent, fish out of water.
So this was the first time I watched the movie and sort of experiences like, I think this is all kind of Jules's story and the journey he's going on. And you see the journey he goes on through other characters, but ultimately the reason the movie ends with him ending in this place is because that's what it's all been about. So it's like, I've always seen it. I've always like he got nominated for best supporting actor instead of lead actor, but it's like he's the lead of the movie. This is kind of his story. It's an ensemble, but it's his story.
I love that.
Yeah, no, that's very fair.